Hey, welcome to week 3 of No, Not Rimo. I'm Annie Cosby. I'm the marketing manager here at Freewrite, and I'm going to be your guide for the sprints today. Before I introduce our special guest, we're going to give people a few minutes to join here, and I'm going to go over some reminders. While I do that, please drop in the chat where you're joining us from, and we'll get started. So first, I want everybody to know we just released a massive firmware update for Traveler and Smart Typewriter today. We're really excited about this update because it vastly improves latency on the e-ink screen, which means there's now virtually no lag when you're typing. One beta tester said, "I can't believe this is e-ink." The engineering team has been working on this for more than a year, so we can't wait for you to try it. Again, this is for Smart Typewriter and Traveler, including Ghost and Valentine and Hemmingwrite and all the special editions. It will automatically prompt you to download on your device. So if you don't have it yet, you will at some point today. You'll get that notification. Okay, and then number 2, quick overview of today. If you've been here before, you know the drill. We're going to start with a short interview with our special guest, and then we'll dive right into 2 15-minute writing sprints. All right, sound good? So our guest today has lived and worked in Ukraine, the former USSR, the Middle East, and Africa. He is the #1 international Kindle bestselling author of the Aiden Snow series, in addition to 3 other thriller series featuring fan favorites like Jack Tate, Sophie Racine, and Wolf Six. His writing has been published in thriller anthologies, and he's an active member of the International Thriller Writers Organization and the Crime Writers Association. So please join me in welcoming Alex Shaw. Hey!
Hi everyone, good afternoon if you're in the US, good evening if you're not, or good morning if you're somewhere else. I'm Alex Shaw, nice to meet you.
So to start out, Alex, where are you joining us from?
I'm in Dubai at the moment. It's 9 in the evening here, and yes, I'm happy to be enjoying the pleasant weather.
Awesome. And follow-up question, are you a spy?
If I was, I couldn't tell you. But oddly enough, I found out a friend of mine was a spy. I knew a guy years ago when I worked in Ukraine, and I based a character about him in my book, and I changed his surname to something that was similar to his surname. I put him in the book, and I made him the MI6 officer in Kiev at the time. And years later, we found each other again via Facebook, went out for a drink, and it turned out that he actually had been the MI6 officer at the time in Ukraine. And he just said to me, "I'm glad you changed my surname, otherwise that would have compromised me a little bit."
You almost outed him.
I know, but the funny thing is, since then he has been one of my kind of inside men, a source, you know. So when I've needed information about MI6 or SIS as they call it, I couldn't find online. You know, I'd ask him, you know, how do you do this? How do you do that? If I needed to evacuate an embassy, what would the process be? And as long as the things aren't state secrets, he said, "Well, actually, yes, we do this and we do that." You know, so it's been very useful. But I'm glad I did change his name.
That's amazing. Kind of scary. So you're published by HarperCollins and Boldwood Books in the US. Can you tell us a little bit about how your publishing journey has been and how you found your agent and things like that?
Okay. Yeah, I started self-publishing. I started in 2008. I wrote my first novel, and it took me 12 years to write because I'm incredibly lazy. Whole years would go by. It's true. Whole years would go by without me writing a single word. And then when the muse took me, I would write. And then what happened was when my first son was born, I decided to become a stay-at-home dad. And it was in that time I thought, you know, I've got a bit of spare time now whilst he's asleep, and I can't sleep, to finish writing. So I finished my book in 2008, and I self-published it with CreateSpace, as it was then, and Kindle, KDP. And it sold quite well. At the time, there weren't very many UK Kindle authors publishing in the Kindle in the UK. And so I wrote a second book, which sold quite well as well. So that was quite good. And then a small publisher contacted me, took those 2 books and my third book, which I wrote for them. And I was with a small publisher called Endeavour Press for several years until they went into liquidation. The two partners split up. And so I thought, okay, I'd like to get a bigger publisher now. So I contacted 5 publishers and I got 3 offers. And one of them was one of the imprints of HarperCollins. So they took my 3 old books and republished them. And then about a year later, I decided, okay, I've written something else now. I really should find an agent. And so it took me a year to find my agent. Funnily enough, I contacted 34 different agents. And they were the second one that I contacted, but my email had gone into their junk folder. So when I went back to them again after 6 months and nudged them, they said, "Oh my God, sorry, no, we didn't see this email." And so I, because it was me, I think it was either junk or I sent it to the wrong address. And so within 4 or 5 days, they offered me representation, and that's the Kate Nash Literary Agency, and Justin Nash, the MD, is my agent. He's a great guy. And so then he got me another deal, a 4-book deal with HarperCollins for my next set of stuff. And so my first 7 books with HarperCollins, and now I've got a 6-book deal with UK publisher Boldwood Books, and my book's doing really well. My 3rd one in that series is coming out in early February, and the 4th one I'm writing now. I have to have that handed in by February as well, so it's quite a busy time.
That's somebody commented this, but like as a career trajectory, that's so wild.
It is, yeah.
I mean, first of all, 2008, that was early self-publishing days, right? Like
it was, yeah. I mean, this is how early it was. I think they suddenly invented or brought out Kindle in 2009, and this will never take off. So because at that time I was selling, like, the odd paperback in the UK, the odd paperback in the US, and then suddenly when Kindle started, I suddenly had the interior file ready, so I just sent it to Kindle, and then it sold a few in the US, and then suddenly when Kindle UK started, my book suddenly went to Kindle UK. And so when readers were typing in SAS, because like Special Air Service, it's like the UK Delta Force, they were typing in SAS for like the type of thrillers I was writing about, UK soldiers. I was one of the only writers who was coming up who had SAS in their metadata or their titles or their characters' descriptions. So it was the big top 5 publishers, their authors, and me. And so suddenly I was hanging onto their coattails like this, like I was, coattails or jet skiing, whatever, water skiing. And suddenly my books were being bought quite a lot, and I got quite a lot of readership because of that, and that really helped me. And I think if perhaps Kindle hadn't appeared at that time, perhaps I wouldn't be sitting here now having written these books. And so yes, I was lucky. And then after that, I thought, well, okay, this is good. Let's try to get a different publisher. And so that was how I kind of took the steps up and up, etc. So it is fun, and I think people shouldn't give up. You may be self-published now, and if you're happy being self-published, it's fantastic. I know some self-published authors who make huge mega money. And at the same time, I know traditionally published authors who struggle to buy pizza. So if you want to become an author, fantastic. If you want to become a self-published author, fantastic. If you'd like to become a traditionally published author, don't give up. Because you never know when it's going to happen. When all it takes is one person say, "Yes, I like your book. I'd like to be your agent," and bang, hey presto.
That's awesome. That's great advice. Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're the definition of fake it till you make it. You're up there with the big dogs, and now you're one of the big dogs.
I'm still faking it. I mean, I was in where was I? New Orleans in September, and there was an author I'd admired for about 10 years, a guy called Mark Greaney. He writes Tom Clancy books and things. He's got his own series, The Grey Man, and one of them was a film on Netflix. And we've been kind of, Facebook friends for about 10 years. The first time I met him there, I said, "Hi, Mark, how are you?" And I was surprised that he recognised him. We sat down and chatted for about an hour. And then suddenly another author, who's another big American name, Brad Ford, another big thriller writer, he comes across, slams his hands on my shoulders. Said, "How do you know this guy then?" And so I was chatting like an old friend. And now I know most of the British authors. I know Lee Child and different people, and lots of those people because I've been to lots of British events. This is the first American event I've been to, and I'm like, oh my god, all these Americans suddenly being so friendly, kind of half know me. That was quite strange. So I felt like I was a bit of an imposter, and I also had to repeat myself as people found my accent very strange.
Oh, love the accent. I tend to say that every time we have a non-American on this, but highly appreciate the accent. All right,
Thank you very much.
let's talk about the genre a little bit. What are the
Okay.
ingredients that you would say make a good thriller?
It has to be exciting. Has to be somewhat believable. But I think the most important thing of any story, regardless of genre, is that you have to kind of identify or care for or feel empathy for at least one character within the story. I mean, I started to watch this TV series a couple of years ago, and there wasn't a single redeeming feature in any of the characters, and so I didn't care. Oh, he's been shot. All right, he's fallen off a cliff. Lovely. I didn't care about him, so I think you have to build a character that's kind of like people either want to be, or people can identify with the situation they're in, or the things they're going through. And so I think you do that. I mean, if we look at James Bond, most men, most heterosexual men, I should say, would like to be James Bond. And a lot of women would like to kind of meet James Bond. And so people are intrigued, like he's handsome, he's attractive, and he's rich, and he can do these things with guns and fighting. So people are kind of attracted to him for that reason. But also in the recent films with Daniel Craig, we see he's kind of vulnerable as well. And so I think you have to try to make sure that your characters are both vulnerable, believable, and in a sense likable, or they have to be really hateful. You have to really hate them. Because no one's cuddled Darth Vader, have they?
Good example. Yeah, that's funny because I feel like it's advice that transcends genre, but it's easy when you're working in genre fiction, especially like thrillers, to forget that. It's like, oh yeah, these do have to be likable characters.
Yeah.
Stuff
I
like
mean,
that.
one of the things that really kind of annoys me is whenever you have a male and female character, suddenly the woman falls in love with the male character. I'm like, really?
Him?
How much of this is about the author's wish list, and how much of this is about the actual story? I'm sorry, you're writing nonsense. So, yeah, that's why you have to make it believable.
Absolutely. Okay, so what's your number one piece of writing advice for aspiring authors?
I would say that first of all, believe in yourself. Any idea you have is valid. Any idea you have is yours. You're the only person that can write your story. It might seem stupid, but it's not. It's your idea. And if it is so stupid that you can't write it down, then you can't finish it, then don't. What I would say is that ideas are like clouds. They float above our heads, and if we don't write them down, we forget about them. Now, some people, they keep notepads. Other people, and I've done this myself as well, I've used one of the folders on my Freewrite. I've used folder C, and occasionally, if I'm writing if I'm writing my work in progress, I'll go, oh, hang on, that's a good idea. So I might flick to folder C, make a few notes, and then I'll click the mail function and just email myself the notes I've made, because then they exist and they're real. And I'll know that sometime in the future I can see that email. What on earth was I talking about? A dog with sunglasses? And it might be stupid, but then again, it might be really funny. It might end up being a character's name, or it might end up in something in a book. So no idea is ever wasted, but just believe in yourself. I mean, 90% of people that try to write a book don't finish it. And they don't finish it because of lack of self-belief, lack of time, and not knowing how to. So, persevere, be the 10% that do finish the book.
That's amazing advice right now, because people are trying to finish No Not Rimo, and we're in the thick of where people fall off, So everybody just get back at it. Like Alex says, believe that you can do it. All right. We're more than halfway through November. You guys can do it. Talking to myself there. All right, let's get to writing. Anybody who is new here, we're all about free writing here. That just means letting the words flow in the moment, leave all editing for later. And yeah, just write until you hear me say time is up. All right, it's going to be our first sprint is going to be 15 minutes. I'll call you back for a short break, and then we'll go again. If you do not know what you're writing about today, we do have a prompt. Let me pull that up. All right, the prompt for sprint 1. Write a scene that includes the color red, either literally or figuratively. All right, everybody ready to go? I am going to play some ambient music. If you're not into it, feel free to mute. Just watch for me waving my hands that time's up. All right, let's get going. Go. All right, everybody, that is time. It's time for a break. How did that feel? Everybody feel good? Good. Okay, so stand up, go to the bathroom, do what you need to do to get ready to sprint again. While we wait, please drop your word count for the first sprint in the chat and tell us what project you're working on today. Alex, are you able to share what you're working on today?
Yes, I can do. My word count just then was 387. I am writing a book that's set in World War II and 1960s. It's a prequel to basically my series. It has the parents and the grandparents of my existing characters in there. So it's kind of the same thing that Game of Thrones has done by going back in time. So I'm writing about their ancestors, I suppose. And also it's got a character in who is in his 70s now. And so it's a very young man in this as well. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Working title is Cold Shadows, but that might change.
That's so cool. I've never written a prequel. How does that differ from just straight, story?
It's an interesting to do because I can kind of predict the future a little bit. I can mention things that happen in later books, and I can have a character saying, "Oh yes, in 2025 we'll have telephones you can hold, we'll have a telephone, a portable telephone you can hold in your hand, or a television on your wrist." So I can mention things like that. But no, it's interesting, and because it's only 1960s I've said it in. The language is basically the same. But the biggest problem for me is obviously I can't talk about mobile phones and electronics because they don't exist yet.
Yeah.
I'm watching Bond films to try and get into the mood.
Somebody asked, is Alex working on a free write? You want to show your weapon of choice?
I am, yes, because I'm an old-fashioned chap. I've got a Generation 2 smart typewriter.
There it is.
And there's, if I hold up, you can see words that I just wrote. There we go.
Ooh, spoiler alert.
So yeah, no, I do like writing on the free write when I'm drafting, when I'm trying to get ideas down. Yeah, and if I take it out with me, if I go to a cafe or somewhere, or just sit with it on my lap, people always stare and ask me what it is.
That is common. Alrighty, let's dive into our next sprint here. Let's see. If anyone's using prompts, I have another one for you. All right, here it is. Write a story that starts scary and veers into comedy. All right. But I think most people are working on their NaNoWriMo projects. So if that's you, go for it. Let's go again. I'll let you know when time is up. Go. All right, folks, that is time. How did it go? Let us know in the chat. All right, so finish up the sentence you're working on or keep going, but we have to sign off. Alex, do you want to let people know where they can find your work?
In all bad bookshops. No, the the best place to find it is probably Amazon. Just type in Alex Shaw, and you'll see me there. Just type in Alex Shaw and you'll see my books there. Best way to do it. And you can also find me on various social media platforms. So you can always say hello to me there if you want to. If not, don't.
Awesome. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining. Good luck with No Not Rimo. And don't forget, you can always reach us at hello@getfreewrite.com. All right. Happy writing.